Okay. Now, yesterday, yes, for a fact, we dealt extensively with SWOT analysis. Like I said, it is the premium, the fine way to do gap analysis, the pleasant way, the sophisticated way, right? So rather than just do document analysis, many organizations would expect that someone in this space, especially when the initiative as used in business analysis means the change you want to bring about, right? The solution you are trying to develop, right? So the problem you are trying to solve, when it is big, when it is something that really has a lot of impact or that has the potential to have a great impact on the organization, then you would be expected to bring out all your big guns, right? And SWOT analysis is one of those techniques that would help you in this space of analyzing strategy. Okay. And I showed you 2 levels of SWOT analysis yesterday. Like so many of us may be familiar with O level, meaning ordinary level, then advanced level. And we saw these 2 levels, right? You have done your SWOT analysis. What's next? I talked about going to the SWOT analysis, going to the results, right? And then you start analyzing the results you got. You have filled all these different sections. Right? You know your strength, you know your weaknesses, you know your opportunities, you know the threats to the product or the enterprise, right? That you want to take from the as-is to the to-be, right? So you know these threats, you know the weaknesses, you know the opportunity. You now start analyzing them. You can look at the threats and say, which of these threats can we mitigate? Can we find a way to prevent from happening? Okay? Or you look at the opportunities and say, which of these opportunities can we take advantage of? Which of these opportunities can we take advantage of to help us get to our desired future state? It may be weaknesses. You say, which of these weaknesses can we convert to strength? Right? Maybe the weakness is that our staff, they are not excited. So how do we make them happy? Should we incentivize them? Should we do something, maybe create camaraderie within the organization, make the environment more collegial, right? Make it more friendly. So should we organize parties once in a while, organize pub events? Right? So you start thinking about how to solve that weakness, how to make that weakness into a strength. So that's where you see you are teasing out strategies that will go into your solution. You are teasing out ideas. So you analyze your SWOT, the result of your SWOT analysis. That's why there's analysis there, right? The result of your SWOT investigation. You have filled out all these boxes, you now start analyzing them. Okay. So, of course, your strengths, you know them, they are for your own good. You can even look at strengths and say, what strengths have we identified here that we are not yet capitalizing on? For some people, maybe, like the example we saw yesterday, positive media coverage has happened, right? How do you capitalize on that? So that's a strength, right? So how do you capitalize on that to take your business further? If your goal is to, maybe increase revenue or increase, what's it called now? presence, awareness for your organization, right? So analyzing your strengths can show you strengths you are not fully capitalizing on and give you ideas on how to improve on that, right? So you analyze the results of your SWOT. So after doing the analysis, right, you now have a better idea of what a solution will look like. You now know that, okay, so our solution will mean I need to capitalize on this opportunity, right? I need to do something that will take advantage of maybe the food delivery apps that are available. So maybe we need to register on these delivery apps, right? Maybe we need to get on Amazon, right? That's an opportunity that we're not yet exploring. So it begins to give you an idea of what your solution must entail. So how do we get on Amazon? How do we put our product on Amazon? How do we monitor our product on Amazon? What do we need? Do we need a new device? Do we need better internet connection? Right. So you start analyzing based on the result of your SWOT analysis. The reason why we went into the advanced one is to make sure you cover everything. The ordinary one may be sufficient if the initiative is just mid-level or low impact initiative. In fact, document analysis may be sufficient for a low impact initiative. Something you have to do quickly for your organization. Document analysis may be sufficient for that. But when you are doing something that is big, maybe will have global impact and they put you in charge, or you are one of the people in charge of that kind of initiative, then you want to do a thorough job, you may need to bring out all your big guns. And that's why I expose you to all that. After assessing capability gap, the next step, now you have an idea of what that future state looks like. You have a better idea through your SWOT analysis. The next step is to determine the solution approach. Determining solution approach just means you want to determine how the new capabilities will be achieved. Those new capabilities you have come about, maybe through your SWOT analysis, through looking at the opportunities or threats or any of those segments, right? You want to figure out, how do we acquire these new capabilities? And usually your options are either to create them, buy them, rent them, right? So those are the common options you would have. So these new capabilities, most times they will involve doing something related to IT. So, and like I mentioned to you, IT is software, hardware, or data, right? So implementing the new capability or developing the new capability, and I'm using development now broadly, right? It doesn't mean you have to develop something, maybe that you are buying something, but coming about that solution may mean that you have to probably buy something, rent a software, or build one yourself. Those are the common ways you go about acquiring solutions: buy, rent, build. Okay. Now, when you are buying ready-made software, it's usually called commercial off-the-shelf software or solution, COTS. Right. So if you are purchasing something that has already been made by an organization, it's called COTS, commercial off-the-shelf. In some cases, those commercial off-the-shelf software or applications may be tailored to a specific type of organization or to a specific field. Like there may be a software out there that medical doctors or hospitals can buy, right? So that software, it may be commercial, off the shelf, but it's tailored to the healthcare sector, to doctors and medical practitioners. So a software like that may be Microsoft Word that most of us use. That's commercial off the shelf. We did not develop it ourselves. We just bought it and installed it on our computers. So that's an example of a commercial off-the-shelf software or solution, right? So it may be something you would buy. In some cases, you may need to look within your organization. You may already have a solution that is not being used well, or that has some features that can even solve the problem you are trying to solve, right? So that may be another good option, looking within your organization. In some cases, the issue is just so niche, or it's novel, it's new, right? The problem you're trying to solve is new. No one has solved it, that it may make sense to just build one. Or in some cases, it's just less expensive. So expensive doesn't have to be money. Maybe time, it may be the amount of time it will take to learn the new software if you go and buy somebody else's own. It may just be some other issues around buying that you don't want, that you feel it's more, it's cheaper. And I'm not using cheaper just to mean money alone. It may be stress, it may be desire, right? So it may just be that you have the professionals, you have access to the professionals that can do the solution. So it's better for you to just use them, and you already are familiar with how they operate. Or it may be that buying may cause issues with existing solutions you have, right? So maybe you already have a particular type of software or hardware that you have invested in. And if you go buy this new one from outside, this COTS, commercial off the shelf, it may mean that you'd have to change some of those things that you already have in-house. So in that case, it is more or it is less expensive to just build one yourself that will integrate with what you already have, that will work with what you already have. Another option may be restructuring, right? You may just change something, maybe change your process, right? The process you are using to deliver that service or using to do something, right? So just change the process rather than building a new software to use your old software better, or to use your old technology better, or to use your old data better, right? So it may just be restructuring the process. Another option may involve adding people, adding humans. So hiring more people to do some jobs manually. So these are likely options. In this stage of strategy analysis, you are trying to figure out, okay, we now have an idea of the solution, but which approach should we take? Should we buy? Should we look within? Should we build it ourselves? Should we change our process to manage what we have? Or should we just hire more people to do it manually? So these are your considerations. But in all these considerations, there's also always there's an option to do nothing. We call it option do nothing. So as we are checking for, these options, okay, one option is to buy. Let's look at, if we bought this software, what will it cost us? How will it impact our current system? Let's look within. Do we have another system in place, or IT, that we can just repurpose? We can change what is used for, or we can expand to solve this problem. Should we build? When you are looking at all these options, there's always the option to do nothing. So if we do nothing, how will that affect us? Sometimes it's just more cost effective to do nothing. So there is the option to do nothing. Now, option do nothing can be positive or negative, and I will discuss that. But first, let me give you an example of where it may make sense to do nothing. Say, after analyzing all the gap and everything you have done, right? You have defined the problem, you have identified the problem well, right? So you know the business need. You have done your capability assessment, your gap analysis. you now discover that, okay, to fix this problem is going to cost us 5 million Canadian dollars. But if we left the problem alone, we'll lose $5,000. You see, option do nothing begins to look attractive here. Which one would you rather do? Lose $5,000 or spend 5 million to solve the problem? And let's say solving the problem does not really bring any serious benefit. Maybe the benefit it will bring is $1,000 if you solve the problem, or it will bring maybe more goodwill among senior citizens, something like that. You now have to weigh the cost and benefit, and it may make sense to do nothing. Or let me give you another example. If you have a case where they tell you, and this has happened in real life, Microsoft had a situation where the EU said they'll fine them if they don't remove Internet Explorer from their computers. All right. So the EU said they'll fine Microsoft, let's assume hypothetically, 50,000 euros if they don't remove Internet Explorer, because they said that putting Internet Explorer with your operating system is anti-competition, is monopolistic, because when you have Internet Explorer on your operating system, then other people like Mozilla and all these other people will not be able to get into the operating system easily because your customers will already be using Internet Explorer. And you want it to be fair. You are selling the operating system, you're also putting browser, right? So make it open, don't put any browser, so that everybody can compete. Customers can choose whatever browser they want after buying your operating system. So there was that dilemma. The EU sat, all those elderly people in the EU, they sat together and decided that they will fine Microsoft, a company that makes billions of dollars, 50,000 euros to remove Internet Explorer. Now, Microsoft will now go back and weigh it that what is more beneficial to us? Should we just let this 50,000 slide, let's pay it, or should we remove Internet Explorer from our operating system? If removing Internet Explorer will cost us $50 million or will cost us to lose market share, then let's keep it and pay the 50,000. So let's do nothing. That's where you have option do nothing. It's always a consideration. Option do nothing can be used positively, like the examples I've mentioned, right? Where it makes sense to do nothing because it's more beneficial to you in the long run. Pay the penalty and do nothing. In some cases, you also want to use option do nothing negatively. Remember, all these things we are doing strategy analysis, I told you that it will end in what we call a business case. So you are using it to build a case for whatever solution you are recommending. So you define the business need to identify the solution. You did gap analysis to understand what the solution should contain, right? You are doing this solution approach to figure out how you go about acquiring the solution. Right? So after doing all this, you want to know what if we do nothing? Sometimes doing nothing may be terrible, right? Doing nothing may cost us a lot. So you want to put that option in the business case too. That you see, we have option do nothing. And you say, if we do nothing, maybe in this particular case, if you do nothing as a business, maybe you will lose 5 million. If you do something, if you take one of these options, maybe if you build, if you buy, you can make 50 million. So it makes sense as a business analyst when you are making recommendation to the C-suite executives to put this option, do nothing there, so that they see that if they do nothing, they will lose money. So you are using this option, do nothing, negatively to push them into taking action. So you can use it to, inspire action, or to say, you know what, sometimes it's better, let's just don't do anything. So option do nothing is always something to consider. Okay. So again, you want to build a solution, your options are, or you want to deliver a solution, your options are buy, look within, build, restructure a process, add people, or so make it more manual, or do nothing. Do nothing is always a good option. So another thing you do when you are trying to choose a solution approach is consider what assumptions or constraints can affect each of these solution options. So if we buy, what are the assumptions around it? Or what are the constraints? Like I mentioned, sometimes you want to buy a solution, you start thinking, will this fit into what we already have? Right? You want to buy new tech, will this work with what we already have? Right? That's the consideration. All those days when people used to use VCR or any of those devices, when you want to buy any of those things, you have to start considering, do I have the TV that this thing will work with? Do I have the wires and all those things, the cables that I need for this thing to work? Right? So those are constraints that you need to consider for each solution option. Right. And if there are assumptions, maybe there will be a new upgraded one tomorrow. So if we go and invest in it now, it will become obsolete. It will not be useful anymore in the next 1 year. So if there are assumptions like that, you have to document them for each of these options so that when you present it to the C-suite executive, they can see how you came about your recommendation. Okay. So some assumptions or some constraints may be time scale. This one will take a lot of time. This solution option, if we choose it, is going to take 7 months. This other one will take us 2 months to deliver, right? You want to make sure all those things are clear, are clearly stated in your business case document. Budget, money. Many times money is important to some organizations, right? So you want to mention, this one is going to cost you 5 million. This one is going to cost you 7 million. This one is going to cost you 250,000. So choose, right? You can see why I'm recommending the 250 or I'm recommending the 5 million, because even though this one is costing you 250,000, there are many other negative things about it, right? It won't integrate with our system, which will cost us 70 million to change. So let's just go with the 5 million one that will work well with our system, right? So you want to put all these constraints you want to look at all these issues for each of the solution options you think will be viable, right? So in your own project, it may just be 3 options, maybe buy, build, or restructure, or it may just be even buy or build. Even the buy, you may have specific COTS you are considering, right? So it may be, okay, we want a software to help us create documents. Our options are Microsoft Word or LibreOffice or OpenOffice or Pages in Mac if you're an Apple person. Right? So these are our options. OpenOffice is not well supported. So these are the 3 options that we're looking at. And you put their cost and their benefits and the assumptions and constraints, you put it under each of them and show why you are choosing any one you are choosing to recommend. Okay. So that has given you a sense of the solution approach you want to take, whether you want to build, whether you want to buy, whether you want to rent. Rent, I use rent in this sense where you are paying for subscription, you are paying to use the software. It's not yours, you are not buying it permanently. So you may be paying per month. Those of us who use Grammarly or any of those applications will be familiar with paying per month for something or pay subscription basis. So you don't own it. You're not buying it once and for all. So that may be one of your options. So ideally, though, at this point, you are not supposed to be fixated on any specific solution. Ideally, at this point, you shouldn't be mentioning any specific solution if you can avoid it. So rather than saying, oh, let's go for Microsoft Word, it may be let's buy a word processing document rather than building. Right? Ideally, in many instances, that's how you want to approach it, especially when it involves development, because later in the process, you will sit down with your developers, all right, and they will now advise you on which specific solution is the best. So, but now you just want to choose the approach, whether you are buying or building or renting or doing nothing. So you just want to choose the approach. But in some business cases, some organizations want to see even the specific name of the solution, especially when that brand of solution is very prominent, it's very common in the market. People know it, that's a good name, right? So they want to see the name. And if that's how your organization operates, that's fine. You do that, right? So, but you want to present options and give your recommendation. So state the problems and assumptions and qualities of each option, and then give your recommendation. So after you've done this, after you've determined the solution approach, the next step will be to define the solution scope. So here you determine the approach you want to take. I want to build this software in-house. I want to buy the COTS. I want to buy a commercial off-the-shelf software or whatever approach you have chosen. The next step is you now define the scope of the solution. Defining the scope just means you want to say what the solution can do and what it will not do. So these are the list of the things that we need the solution to do and the things that the solution we don't want it to do, we don't care about. Okay, that's why I said in this space, usually you are not very specific about one particular application or solution. But in some organizations, you may need to be. But you want to look at what features do we need? What capabilities, right, must the solution deliver? What features do we need in this solution? And what features don't we need for our solution? Right. So here you are scoping the solution. Those of us who do research, we understand the meaning of scope, right? You are scoping the solution. You are giving it boundaries. These are the things that my solution must do, that we need it to do. These are the things that, especially the things you don't want it to do, you have to try and be specific about those. These are the things that the solution does not need to have. So you are buying a car, or you have determined that the solution approach is to buy a car. You can be specific. These are the features of the car that we want. These are the features we don't care about. We don't care about leather seat, but it must have, what's it called? Heated seats, because we stay in a very cold area. It must have heated windscreen, heated side mirrors, because we stay in a very cold environment. Right? So, but we don't care if it's leather or fabric seat. We don't care if it's SUV or if it's all-wheel drive or a typical SUV, right? All those things may not matter. So those boundaries, you want to set them. You want to set what your solution will not cover. We don't want SUV. We just want a sedan. We don't want leather seat. We want to write all those down. This will guide later in future when you are actually acquiring or purchasing the solution or developing the solution. It will guide what will not come into the solution. Even if you are buying, it will help you identify the best option, right? So you will know how to save your money. Okay, we don't need this feature, and this particular offer we are getting has all these plenty features that we don't need. So if we pay for this, we'll just be wasting our money. So let's go for this other solution or this other offering that has just what we need. So by scoping the solution, it will help you figure out the likely particular solutions that will work for your case. Then you also want to look at the dependencies, both business and technical dependencies. So business dependencies may be, do we need to change some things in our organization, right? What are the things we will need to change? What are the technical things we will need, for example, that's under technical dependencies? Will we need new infrastructure? Will we need to rewire the whole building? Will we need fiber optics? Will we need a satellite that we'll have to send to the moon just to use this technology? So you want to know your dependencies and write them down at this phase. Okay, so 3 key things. What are the things the solution will have? What are the things we don't need the solution to have? And what are the things we would need to change, right, to use this solution? What are the things the solution will need as a business, business-wise in terms of people and structure and process, or technically to make this solution happen? And after doing all this, you have defined the business need. You have assessed capability gap. You know the gap now. You have done your SWOT analysis. You've done all that. You've determined the solution approach. You want to buy, you want to build, you want to rent, an option, do nothing. You have scoped the solution. What features should be in the solution? What features are not needed in the solution? You have documented all these things. The next step is to now define your business case. First, what is a business case? Business case, just like case, right? Legal case, you are making a case for something, right? So a business case will contain justification for the project in terms of the value it's going to add to the business, right? Compared to the cost to develop and operate the solution. So you are justifying the solution. That's what a business case is. Justifying the solution. So you tell us the benefits and the costs of the solution. And you want to show us that the benefits outweigh the cost. You will do this for all the relevant solution options you chose. So if you have 3 options, buy, build, whatever, you have and rent, you have to show us that, okay, buying, this is the benefit, this is the cost. Renting, these are the benefits, these are the costs. Building, these are the benefits, these are the costs, right? So you want to show us all that, and then you tell us which one you recommend that we go for. So in your business case, usually you have the reasons, the options, right? The solution options, the benefits, costs, timescales, and risk or assumptions. So even though you have done all those work before you got here, you still need to do some more extra work because you are presenting a document, making a case, right? So you are making a case for, starting from the business need, you are making a case for that need, why it needs to be solved. You are making a case for the solution options. and showing why you chose that option. So why do we need to solve the problem? So that business need will come into your business case. The options will go in there. So some techniques you would use here, you may use, not necessarily that you use everything. We include cost-benefit analysis, right? So you'll be analyzing each solution option. What are the costs? What are the benefits? Right? And you put that in this document. You may use estimation. If you don't know the exact cost of something, you would estimate. How do you estimate? Many of us have estimated before. Sometimes estimating may just mean calling up someone else that has used something similar. You might just, I want to get this thing, and I don't know. I want to get maybe this car, and I don't know, or this school abroad. I don't even know how much they will charge or something. And you call up someone that you feel we know that has experienced something like that before, and you ask him, how much did you pay for that your car that time? I really like it. I want to buy that time. But it's not exactly that one I want. But how much did you pay for yours? And when they tell you how much they paid for theirs, you now use that to form an estimate in your mind of how much yours may cost. Maybe yours is lower than theirs. Maybe yours is a year. Maybe theirs is a more recent model, and yours is the previous year. You say, okay, if yours cost $50,000, that means maybe mine, the one I'm looking at, will be less, will be maybe 45 or 40. Right? So you are estimating. We have all done that. So you do that also when you don't have exact figures. Right? You do that in your project. You write it there, estimated cost, this amount, right? But it has to be informed estimate, not just something you pulled out of the air, right? So you would ask questions. It may even be internally. You ask people that have done similar projects. They may give you a task where you don't know how much it will cost, but other people that have come before you have handled projects like that, you'd ask them, right? Many of us, when we want to throw parties, we do this. You go and ask your friend that has thrown a party, how much did it cost you to do that your birthday that you did for yourself, your 50th birthday, or for your child? How much did that thing cost you? You rented all, how much? Say, I spent like 12,000. Yeah. So that thing, how much? That all cost me 6,000 or 2,000. So through all that, you estimate, right? So when you don't have exact figures, you consult stakeholders that may have an idea. Maybe someone internal, maybe people external, to estimate. You do risk analysis. Right? If we take this option, what are the risks involved? We need to get developers. Do we have them in-house, or do we need to get people from outside? If we get people from outside, what are the likely problems? Is this thing time-bound? This solution, is it time-bound? Right? This is our goal, and we learned about being time-bound yesterday, being smart. So is it time-bound? If it's time-bound, if we go and get developers from outside because we don't have insight, can we control when they will deliver this solution to us? What if they go beyond the time? Will there be a penalty for that? So you want to record all those risks. If we do this thing, there may be a risk, or we may not meet up, right? It may take 9 months instead of 6 months. All right. If we buy this COTS, it may not work with our existing system. We don't know yet because we have not bought it. We have not tried it. But there is that possibility. You want to document all those risks. Then the result of your SWOT analysis goes here too. You want to show all the strengths, weaknesses, and the analysis you have done from it that led to the solution, right? You want to put that there. Even if you don't put the box thing, right? You want to put the result of the analysis that you did, that, okay, these are the opportunities we want to capitalize on that led us into thinking about this solution. Right? Then if they are providers for the solution you want, so vendors, we call these providers vendors. So for example, now, you want to buy a Windows software like Microsoft Word, right? Microsoft may be the vendor. let's even take it back a little. You want to buy a document processing software. It's not only Microsoft that makes it. Microsoft is a vendor. You may have Open Office as one vendor, LibreOffice as another vendor. You may have several options. You can do vendor analysis where you are comparing the vendors. Oh, you know what, Microsoft, the people in Microsoft, they are not as nice as the people in LibreOffice. LibreOffice, they are nice to us. They come whenever we need them. They have good customer service. So you can do that analysis in your business case. Remember, you are making a case for why you are recommending an option. So these are some of the techniques that can help you in making that case. So this is an example of how a business case would look like. You have the project name. So this is, the project is for the sales team. So sales team, IVR telephone system. So this is an example. Right? Don't ask me what IVR means. I don't know. Right? It's just an example. So the sales team, IVR telephone system. Who is the sponsor? Head of sales. That means who came up with the whole problem that we must solve, right? Who came up to say, okay, oh, we have this problem that we must address. There's this need. That is the sponsor. So that's the head of sales. Who is the project manager? You write the name. Who is the, what date was the project approved? You write the name. So your strategy meeting, after a strategy meeting, that's the, what's it called now? The business need meeting, right? Where you define the problem and all that, and everybody has agreed that this is a problem we should solve. That date when we agreed, whoever has authority to agree that yes, this is really a business need that we must solve, right? That date, you put it there. Is there any revision? Have you done any revision on this document? Maybe based on input from other people, you put the last date of revision. Now, this is a template. It doesn't mean this is a must that you must do yours like this. There are several templates online. As with many things in business analysis, there are several templates online. You don't need to cram anything. Take all these SWOT analysis we talked about, the PESTLE, the 5 forces, right? The key thing is know that you can use these techniques. You don't need to cram anything. So just knowing that you can use it, if you ever get into a position where you need to use it, Google is your best friend. Just 5 forces. I want to use 5 forces here. I know that I can use 5 forces to get my opportunities and threats, right? So Google 5 forces. You remind yourself quickly of what it means, and you frame all those things as a question. Call a brainstorming session, and you start firing these questions, and we say, wow, this our business analyst is super brilliant. He's super, see the questions he's asking. He has covered everything. Wow, this is the best person for the job. We hired right. That's the strategy. So you don't need to, there are templates online, plenty. So you start looking at what is the contribution to the, what does this contribute to business strategy? You can also call this your business need, right? That business need statement that you wrote in the beginning. This is where it will go. So you see this one, they didn't follow that format, that template that I gave you, right? The problem of blah, blah, blah is affecting blah, blah, blah. That is just a structure, is a guideline. As long as you can speak English, you can remix it anyhow you want, as long as you are delivering the content, which is, we should get from your business need, we should be able to clearly say what the business problem is, the problem you want to solve. We should be able to know it from that business need, and we should be able to know the goal, your business goal. We should be able to know it from the business need, at least. And I told you the goal at this point is not maybe in the best shape yet. You still need to refine it, but at least it should give us an idea of what a solution will look like, or what a solution will do for us. So let's look at this person's business need. So they wrote, our strategy is to project best in industry customer service, and the current situation does not reflect this. So you see, that is the problem. They want best in industry customer service, and their current situation is not best in industry. Then see, so that's the business problem. See their solution. The new IVR system will ensure all calls are answered in a timely manner. It will also ensure that calls are dealt with efficiently. You see the solution to this problem. So this is the business goal now. Our goal is to get this new IVR system that will ensure that our calls are answered in a timely manner and that all calls are dealt with efficiently. These two facts align this project to the company strategy. So you see, it contains, the key thing you should take away from here is it contains the problem and the need they want to address. Okay. Then the next step in this sample is they talked about the options they considered, right? So one option is adding additional staff to the sales team. So you see that option of adding people, manual, increasing the manual labor, which is, like we said, business analyst deals with people, information systems, which is equals to IT plus people plus process. So business analysts can also influence hiring of staff. That's how powerful a business analyst is, right? So in this case, one option was adding additional staff to the sales team. Another option is having a dedicated team for our best customers. So maybe, you see, changing our process. So the first option they took was people. Then the second one is process. Let's have a dedicated team that will be servicing our high value customers. So let's change our process. Then the last option they are considering, this business analyst is considering, is IT option, an IVR system. And they wrote it there, selected, meaning this is the one, this business analyst, after doing all his analysis or the strategy analysis, this is the one he's recommending. He will now do the benefits. Some business analysts will not recommend anything, which is okay. They will just do their analysis and pass it to the person in charge to make a decision. But even in their analysis, obviously they have recommended. But again, if you're a very senior person, you have a right to say, this is my recommendation. You don't want to waste the CEO's time, right? You don't want to waste their time. So straight to the point, this is my recommendation. So if you want to read the report and you see why I came about this recommendation. So they have talked about the option, you now start going to the benefits. So the benefits will be increased sales. Currently estimated, we lose 4% of all sales calls due to current issues. So sales will increase if we do this, if we go with this IVR system. Our customers will be happier. So you see, it's not always all about money. There are tangible benefits and intangible benefits, right? So one tangible benefit is money you can touch, you can spend, right? But intangible benefits, our customers are happier. And these intangible benefits sometimes even surpass tangible benefits. Say you are dealing with a hospital, intangible benefit is that the patient is well and happy and attended to on time and they don't die. Tangible benefit is that they pay you. Which one is more important? Intangible benefit. Happier customers may mean that more sales, they will recommend more people, right? So you should know that there can be tangible and intangible benefits to recommending a solution. So if you want to convince your stakeholder on why to get a solution, consider that benefits can be tangible and intangible. Then the third one says improved LTV. So lifetime value of customers will increase. So LTV is lifetime value. So improved LTV, lifetime value of customers will increase by 5%. You see how objective these statements are. We talked about SMART yesterday. You see how this business analyst is applying SMART, measurable, specific in everything they are writing. Right? So it's estimable, it's measurable, it's applying SMART. Right? So because of this now, you can check whether all these benefits will be achieved. You can check later because it's measurable. He's already giving you, oh, we'll lose 4%, we'll increase by 5%. So you can check if these things really happen, right? And then you put the time scales. Initial analysis shows that this system will take approximately 3 to 4 months. Now, this person, after selecting this, maybe the person that developed this document is a real senior, very senior person. So he didn't waste time even giving you details of the other ones. Some other people will say, okay, option 1 will take 3 to 4 months. Option 2 will take this time. Option 3 will take this time, so that you can make the decision yourself. Maybe you are the decision maker, the CEO. You can make the decision by looking at the option, or you can see how they came about the decision. So then the person put cost, the cost of the IVR software, the project management. You see, he didn't put the cost of the other ones. Again, some other people and some other organizations would prefer that you put cost for not just the IVR software. So everything here now is for the IVR software. And this is the estimated total. So some will expect that you put the cost for IVR, you put cost for adding additional sales team and all the other options. Okay, so these are your solution options. You put the cost. Expected return on investment, you do that. Okay, year 1, we don't expect anything. Year 2, this thing will earn us $120,000 or will save us $120,000 that we are paying to someone else or that would have used to hire staff. Right? So then the risk, what are the risks involved? Right now, the project looks pretty straightforward, but there are still some unknowns, surrounding implementation. There's also the risk that the project doesn't meet sales team or customer needs, right? Which is a realistic risk. It's a reasonable risk that, okay, we may do all this and it won't meet the customer need. So for this reason, it is recommended to involve the sales team closely. You see how this person, this BA, brought the sales team into the whole thing again. So even the, what's it called? The project sponsor, who is the head of sales, will be very happy that, okay, the BA is recommending that they should bring us in. You see the end of the recommendation. They should involve us very, very well. And that will make the stakeholder happy. I will talk about that when we get to stakeholder elicitation and collaboration, how you work with your stakeholders. Right? So, and these are the risks this BA found. Okay, you know what? We may not, there may be issues when we're implementing this thing, right? That's something. So is it something we're okay with? Obviously, the BA is saying yes. That's why I put this as selected. Right? So there may be issues. We may not meet deadline. Something may happen. A developer may leave us and we need to hire a new one. All those issues, right? That may delay the project. But is this something we're okay with? There may be a risk that the project does not meet the sales team or customer need. And then, like I mentioned, don't talk about problem if you are not going to talk about a likely solution, right? As you are talking about problem, and it's your job to pinpoint, to point out the problems, right? Likely problems, the risk. But you should also at least provide some solutions. Your solution does not have to be perfect, and they don't have to go with your solution, but you should give them an idea of a solution so that you show that the brain you are using to analyze and think of problem, you're also using it to think of solutions to the problem. Okay, so you see, this one gave a very good solution. Let's get the sales team involved. In fact, if it was me, I would say let's also work closely with some customers. Let's create a focus group of customers and test, a prototype on them before investing heavily, so that we make sure that it's actually, what's it called now? Addressing customer needs. Since we have two risks, a sales team or customer. So, but you can see this recommendation is good. I would go a step further, but that's me. Okay. So this is the result of your strategy analysis. You want to make a business case. This business case will now be the document that has granted green light to the project. So the project will now start. You will now start the process of creating that solution, right? So you start initiation phase and all the other phases. This is where it kicks off. After you have finished the strategy analysis. And remember, strategy analysis is in the conception phase. Now, in fact, for you to understand that business analysis and understanding business analysis is not extremely difficult. Please, who can tell me the meaning of conception?
Like at the beginning, at the let's say idea forming stage.
So where conception is idea forming stage. Exactly. Yes, correct. Someone else? Anybody else?
At the initiation stage.
Okay. So I'm just even talking about conception now. What's the meaning of this English word, conception?
Conception is when you have like when you have idea, you're forming idea.
Okay.
When you conceive something. I'm just saying.
I'm liking that, conceive, right? Okay. So what does it mean to conceive?
When you're trying, to, like you have an idea.
Okay,
you are
so
working on
let me ask it another way. When they say a woman has conceived, what does it mean?
Taking.
Thank you. So maybe we should move away from big grammar and say, okay, this is the phase where you take in.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is the phase where you get pregnant with the idea. You take in the idea. Then the rest of the process is how you give birth to the solution. You are getting pregnant here with the, of course, the solution, right? The idea that will generate the solution is coming in. So this is the phase where we are working on it. We are looking at everything. Is this the right idea? Right? What is missing? How do we, do it well and all those things? So after all that, the rest of the phases is just how you give birth to the idea, how you produce the idea, how you turn it into a solution. So your idea after this phase has been approved, check mark. It has been approved. You have presented the business case, you have made a case for it. They have said, yes, go ahead. So the next step is, okay, how do you now give birth, transform that idea to a solution? So the process of that idea transforming to a solution is what we will now start. Okay. That is the end of strategy analysis of the conception phase. Nothing else is remaining. After the business case, nothing else. The project has been approved. It's now for you to go and start. We have talked about how much it will cost, right? We have talked about the time it will likely take. Nothing else is remaining. Go and start your project. So this is a good time. Pause this recording.